Java web application. So it is deployed on a server. Can be accessed by client with browser over internet. Protocol is HTTP. A servlet is a server-side program to handle client request. Because it is server, a tiny server it is, there is a servlet. It is a server-side program to handle client request. Container loads the servlet class into memory. So we have a servlet container for doing that. A JSP is used for presentation, that also we saw. Container translates JSP into servlet, compiles and then loads. A Java bean can be used for handling business logic and database access, that also we saw. A Java object, data access object. Why it is called bean I told you? Because Java means coffee, coffee is made from coffee bean. So Java is made from Java bean. Tiny class with properties and getter certificates. Tomcat server structure is like this, bin folder with all binaries. Okay, then we have lib folder with jar files. All the jars are in the lib folder. Conf for configurations. For example, we change the port number. Logs for logging. All the logs are present in the logs folder. Anything which happened to the Tomcat, everything is logged. So later on you can go and check any problem is there. Then you have web apps where all projects will be deployed. So all your projects are inside this. Deploy structure is like this. The HTML is generated in the root folder. JSP can be in say JSP folder. Okay. Config file is web.xml and web.inf. Fine. So Java classes in web.inf classes folder. All project jars in web.inf lib folder. Jars file. Okay. You can put your project's jar inside this, which you don't want to share with other projects. Inside, if you put here, all will share it. But if you put here, only this will share it. Okay. In the web.inf lib folder. Starting the server is startup.batch. And this starts Tomcat server, which loads all application deployed in web apps folder. All the applications are deployed. Console display successful. You can see like this, has finished. Port number on when it runs is the port number, and client needs to access this port number. Browser will have like this: http:// IP address of your machine and the port number. Tomcat homepage will be displayed. If you do that, access the server with IP address, port number, app name. For example, like this. Browser understands HTML. So for dynamic content, a form is used. Right? That's a form. Type is file. For open file chooser, dialog box on browser. If you say type is equal to file, it will open a file opening dialog box. A submit button, when clicked, submits the form to server. Action file upload takes a request to URL mapped in web.xml. This one, this action. We saw hello, same thing. So you can mention the welcome file in the web.xml. Web.xml is config file for application. Form submitted by client as action equal to file upload. So this URL pattern is file upload. So this one / file upload. It came from the front end. This is internally mapped to a servlet with a name. Okay, so file upload, and this is mapped to the class. The class upload servlet is mapped against this name. Container loads the class and provides service. The servlet supports HTTP, hypertext transmission protocol, because internet works on HTTP. Container loads servlet when request arrives and init is called. So if a request for servlet has come, it will create the object of this and call this init method. Servlet config gets parameters from web XML. Okay, so if you are using servlet config, get servlet config, it will come from this only, and you can get the init parameters like this. You can write in the XML file init parameter. Here it's written. So get init parameter, same name you have to give here. It will come inside the servlet. Post method, you need to use do post, override that. Forget do get. HTTP server request and HTTP server response are two parameters passed to the do get or do post. Request has client data and response takes the data back to the client. There are carriers of data. Get the writer from response and write it into it HTML syntax. So this is what we did. Get writer. Set content type as text by HTML. Container. We are talking about the container. So lifecycle management as class loading, instantiation, initialization, service, and making servlet instances eligible for garbage collection. All this is done by a servlet container. You don't do anything in this. Just deploy it. Finish. Communication support, handling the communication between servlet and web server. So because servlet is residing in the container, it has to go to the server, web server, like Tomcat. Multi-threading support, automatically creating a new thread for every servlet request and finishing it when the servlet service method is over. Means when you call that method, each is in a different thread. So there is no clash between the two threads. It is by default multi-thread. Obviously, internet has to be multi-threaded. Declarative securities, managing the security inside the XML deployment descriptor file. All this will container will do. JSP support, converting JSP to servlets and maintaining them. Fine. JavaServer Pages. It is for dynamic web pages. The packages are JavaX Servlet JSP, JavaX Servlet JSP, TagExt. Extension of servlet technology. So it's actually a servlet only. Separates presentation from business logic. That means your website designers who writes HTML, they have tools for writing HTML. They don't write HTML. They use tools for it. They sit with the customer and customer tells, I want like this, I want like this. They will design accordingly. It is handed over to you to add the Java code. So your job is Java side and their job is HTML side. So both of you can focus on their respective strengths. You are strong in Java, you write Java code. They are strong in HTML, let them write HTML code. Separation of the presentation and business logic. Fine. Simplifies delivery of dynamic content. It is easy to write. Can create dynamic content by reusing predefined components, server-side scripting. For example, request you already used. Okay, it's already predefined. You didn't declare it, just request. Can use special software components called Java Beans. We'll do an example. And custom tag libraries. 4 key components. In this slide, everything you have to remember. Okay. Directives. These are messages to JSP container to specify page settings, include content from other resources, specify custom tag libraries for use in JSP. Directives. Okay. Example, page directives. Gives instructions to entire page, usually at top, kept on top of the page. Less than percentage, you have to close with percentage greater than, this we know already. At the rate page means it's a page directive. Info equal to an example, just rewrote something. Import equal to java.util.star. You want to import some classes, where do you write it? Write like this. So it gives a message to JSP container to specify something. So importing. At the rate page is thread safe equal to false. Error page equal to error.jsp. So if you write like this, it is not thread safe. Right? You know what is thread safety? 2 threads coming together and attacking this page. So by default is true. Now when I say error page equal to error.jsp, if any error is there, you don't put try catch, just write this. It will automatically go to that. So clean coding, clean separation of error handling. You don't have to write try catch and all kind of stuff, nothing. Just write error page equal to error. But then in that error.jsp, you have to write is error page equal to true. Only then this becomes a error page. By default is false. All are not error pages. On top of this page, you have to write less than person at the rate page is error page equal to true. You can write multiple also like this. This one, this one, this one, 3 are there in this. Okay. Then there is one more directive, include directive. Inserts content of another. Anywhere you can write include file equal to some other content. The entire content is pasted into your JSP at that point. Next is the action. So this is the first component. Second is the action. Encapsulates functionality in predefined tags to embed in JSP. Supports different behaviors. So this is XML type of tag. So JSP :forward page equal to something. So it will forward to that page. You saw in the servlet we had written, correct? In the servlet we had written the forward to different JSP. Here you will write like this: JSP :forward page equal to something else. JSP include, instead of this you can write like this: page equal to company.html. So the content of this will enter here. So this is action. Okay. Scripting elements to insert Java code, embed programming instruction executed during each request. So this we already did that in the JSP. Just write less than %, in that put Java code, whatever you want you can write. Next is tag libraries, tag extension mechanism for custom tags. You can write your own tags, custom tags. So these points you should remember: directives, actions, scripting elements, tag libraries. Now implicit object, this also you have to remember. These are the only things they can ask you about JSP. Okay. So scopes are there for each object, out of which request you already saw. Let us see all the remaining 9 are there. They have different scopes: application scope, page scope, request scope, and session scope. So application scope means the entire Tomcat, the entire application which are deployed, it is applicable to that particular scope. Okay. Page means that particular page, only single page. Request means when the client requests this, and even if you forward it, is the same request. As long as that is there, that request is there. Session means the client logs in till the client logs out, session object is available. Let us see each of them. First is application scope. Container owns objects. Okay. The only object available is application, which is of type JavaX servlet context. Okay. Represents the container. Anything you want to do with the container, use this application. Only one is there, easy to remember. Application belongs to application scope. Page scope, there are 6 of them. Exists only in the page. So config, the servlet config object, represents JSP config option specified in descriptor. Exception, throwable object, exception passed to JSP error page. Page, the current page is represented page, represent this reference to the JSP. This is called this. Okay. In Java it is called this, and this actually page in JSP. Page context is a page context object, provides access to implicit object. Any of this object you can get through this. Response is HTTP server response object. It also belongs to page. Out is also page scope. JSP writer sends content to response, writes text to response. Okay. Config, exception, page context, response, and out. Page scope. Session scope exists only in the session of the user. So if the name is session, it is of type HTTP session. page is part of a session. Request scope. Objects exist only in the request, which is HTTP request object request. We already used it. Fine. So how many we have here? 6 and 3, 9. Easy to remember. Application scope. Session scope. Request scope. Remaining all in page scope. Scripting components. Write all the code in this. This will go to service method. So the lifecycle method of JSP is init, service, and destroy. Okay. Service is the method which calls do get or do post. It's there in servlet. Okay. Init, service, destroy. Service calls do get or do post according to the request. All the code you write here will go inside this automatically. This is comments in JSP dash 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 dash. If you write equal to, then this expression what you write here is inserted at that point. Okay, we saw the name we inserted from the request. So we evaluated that and put it there. Insert string representation of code in between. If you write like this, declaration at instance level. If you don't write this, it will go to service method. But if you write this exclamation, whatever you write here will go to the object level, JSP level. Okay. Escape sequences. If you want to actually print all this, then put a backslash like this. So it will break this. Okay. Anywhere you put backslash is the escape sequence. Double quote symbol, because all this have meaning in JSP. So to bypass that, put a backslash. XML based tags. There are scripting based. Now this is XML based. JSP use bean means use this bean. Correct? Use this bean, that is. So ID is hello. So the instance variable name will be hello of type hello bean and the class is hello bean. So use this and then set property. So maybe this is having a property, some name. So it will set it as set name. Okay. So set name with the whatever hello. Parameters name. Now hello get property name equal to, this is a name, local name, hello, property is name. So what it will do, it will call get name and insert at this point. It will take out from the object. So this setter method has set the value, correct? So you put name, some name there. Then if you want to get it, get from that. Get name, this same hello, it will retrieve it and print it here. So we will see an example of this. Okay. So use bean closed. It's XML, so you should close it correctly. Everywhere you have to close, else it is an error. During translation it will give error. Forward page equal to admin.jsp. Scripting oriented tags. This is declaring at class level, and you are writing like this expression. This is called expression. 2 into math.py into this one red. This is script. You write like this. If something, son. See, this variable is available because it's a class variable, right? Out.println exceeds or something like this you can write. You can include here JSP lifecycle. First what happens, request is received from the client. First it will see, the JSP container will see, is the JSP servlet current? Current means whatever you written in JSP and whatever servlet is there, are they same? How to do it is, it will check the timestamp of the JSP. If you modify it, the timestamp will change. It will check the class, compiled class. Are the timestamps same? If it is same, it will ignore. If it is not same, it will understand it is not current, it has been modified. So it will parse the JSP and create the servlet Java file and compile it and then load the servlet. And if it is current, no need, very fast, yes. Then is it loaded into memory? Yes. Then no need to load the servlet. If it is not loaded, no, load the servlet. Now it will generate a response and send the response. This cycle always happens. for every request the container will do this cycle. We'll check, verify first, then yes, no, and so on. Okay, that is why whenever you modify, even once you save the JSP, it has to go through this again. Okay, so we will do that an example like this. I'll do a pick changer example. So this is my JSP. Use bean with the ID changer, scope is session. So you can mention this object, what is the scope? I am giving the scope until the session expires. Class is pick changer. That means I am loading this class. This is my bean. It is having com dot something here. You need to write scope because normally scope default will go to page, so session you write, because you are going to keep on going to the page again and again, so you should not lose the session. This object will get lost, again reload. So you want to load only once. Then the remaining is HTML. Okay, so now it will happen, this you have written use bean, so it's applicable for the entire page. Now this object is available. What I'll do when I am, see it's outside the body, so head will be called only when the JSP gets loaded. At that time I am saying next pick, so it will call next pick from the object. What it will do, it will say this image index, it is 0 first, equal to +1, so now it will become 1, but after percent of that. So balance will be taken, images dot length. Okay, so what is images dot length? This is the images array 1 2 3 4 5 divided by 5. 1 divided by 5 is 1 only, balance is 1, so now it will become 1. Okay, so every time it loads, this becomes 0 1, then 2 3 4. After 4 what will happen? If it becomes 5, divided by 5 is 1, so it will go back to 1. Clear? That means I want to cycle through it, so it will become 1 2 3 4, again it will go back to set. The balance is 0, right? So 5 divided by 5 is 0 balance, remainder is 0. So 0 1 2 3 4, 0 1 2 3 4, 0. It will keep on cycling for every refresh. When you refresh this page, it will keep on calling next pick, next pick, next pick, and because it's a session, it will always exist, right? So it will keep on calling this. Every time it will increment it, 0 1 2 3 4. The moment it reaches 5, it becomes 0. So it will go back to 0. That means 0 is this. Okay, this is 1 2 3 4. It stops here. Then again 0. So pick 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. You keep on cycling between this values, correct? So the image index I changed. Now inside the JSP I am saying image src. I want an image, right? What is image? This is the image. Okay, how it got evaluated? How it will evaluate? I said JSP get property, name is changer, this JSP, right? I need that reference, it's changer, this bean I am using, and property is image, so get image is called, this will get called, property is image, so get image is called. So get image is called, it will return a string and insert it at this src. What is that? It's just picking up this. See, images at that particular point. This is 0 1 2 3 4. So it will pick up first 0 first time, and it will insert here in the JSP because I called this get image, so it called that value and inserted at this point, correct, and that will be images slash pic1.jpg. got. So this browser will display an image at that point. Make sense? So you'll get a label like this, below that you'll get an image. Class is, this is CSS. Which class I am using? I am using CSS, text by CSS, style, close the style. What is big dot big attribute? So big can be used here. Instead of writing h1, h2, font and all that, just use this dot class equal to big. You can have multiple also. So font family is Tahoma, Helvetica, Arial, Sans, whichever your client is having, it will pick up. One of them it will pick up. First it will do this, then this, then this, then this. These are general, everybody love it. Weight is bold and font size is 2A. It's a pixelate of the number. So this size it will insert for pic changer example. Right. This is where to use CSS, and you can always put this in a .css file also and give a link to it. So that is CSS, and this is image. It's a package. Okay, so that is a package, and the same package I have to use here. To compile this. Okay. Images. Just run this. It is having a refresh. HTTP equal refresh. Content is 5 means 5 seconds refresh. This will automatically refresh it. So accordingly it's refreshing us. You don't have to refresh it. So every time it will call next pic, and the index will go forward. Then it will pull that value, get images, and return the string. So use of use bean. So we don't want to put too much contents in JSP, not a good idea. Separate it into a different file. But normally HTML code only this. Very minimum Java code should be there. Okay, so the only Java code is this. Okay, remaining all are JSP code. See here, nothing is there. The only thing which we did is change next pic we are calling it during refresh. It's in the header information, right? whereas body we're just getting the property from that particular bean. So we're getting the strings. Now it's up to your imagination, whatever you want. For example, JDBC code, database access, all that you can put in a separate bean and access it inside this. Just put some method and return the value. So there you have to say get property that particular value. So data means get data. And for forward, you can write like this: JSP forward. Okay, give the page. That's it. Whereas in servlet you write request dot get request dispatcher, put forward dot JSP in that, dot forward bracket request comma response. It is a long line. You don't do anything here, just write this. You can also pass parameters, date. So you'll go to this with this as a reference. Also you can give value. So this one goes as a parameter. With the date it will go to this way. So that guy what will do, since it came here now, request came here, it will say get parameter name. It came from the other JSP. Hello, whatever. It got forwarded. Your requests are received and forwarded at what? At get parameter date. This came from front end through the other JSP, and this the other JSP generated. This guy generated. This came from the name, from the front end it came, right? But this is generated locally here. So both can be accessed here. This came from the front end. Hello, whoever it is. Your request is received, forwarded at so and so time. See, you're mixing up HTML. This comes in a tabular form. So wherever you want to add, for example, TD, table data, at that point you're adding this. So this went into a cell of the table. So you can mix up wherever you want. That's a freedom you got. Right? So nowhere else Java is this. It's the only line of Java. It's the only line you have. Rest of all is HTML. So here also you see, first time if you load this, it's checking is null. Not equal to null, only it will forward. If it is null, else it will go. Else forward.jsp. It will go back to forward.jsp and with the form. So it will show the form. So your user will see the form. User doesn't know this is happening. It came to forward.jsp, but it went to this part, else part, because name is not there. In that case, next time we submit, name will be present. It will come back to this only, same file. Now it will not be null. Then it will go to this. It will go to forward. Make sense? So we already have a this one. I'll put it in a Tomcat. Okay, 2 JSPs I'm having. Shut it down first. How do we shoot down? So I'm starting here. Tomcat. It refreshed, went off. Shut it down now. I'll use test now. That is my project. It's index. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll use that page. Forward.jsp. Okay. There is a folder called work inside your Tomcat. Catalina, localhost. There is a test here. You can see test is here. Fine. Now what I'll do is I will say forward.jsp. This I'm accessing now. I'm accessing JSP. Yeah? It's taking time. See, it's generated it. It's generated it. It's in the work folder. You should not touch this folder. It is internal to Tomcat. Even if you may change it, no use. Lower it. So I'll check the timestamp and say it is current or not. So if you open this and see, it's a Java file. See, generated by JSP component which are Tomcat, automatically generated. See the JSP. And where is that code? See the code here. See, the entire code is this. All out.write, out.write. In servlet you wrote, no? Same thing the container is writing now. It's actually a servlet. You have written JSP in HTML format. It's perfectly okay, but internally container will convert into a servlet. And whatever you written there in the HTML format has been written in the write. See, the code is here. See, if true is a C. If true, forward with the URL encode, date, get current encoding, something else is written. Internet is a little complex, but we don't bother about it. Form action forward JSP. Fine. So this is what is the translated form of JSP. Converting JSP into Java is called translation. It is done automatically. Now see if we forward it. Again compiling the second one also. See, second one also compile. You see, and forward it so and so time. Since it's a forward, you do not know the second one. I told you forward, it doesn't tell the browser to go to the next one, because that second page is using the same name. So the request cannot be changed. It has to be same request. So if you look at this, this is the second one which got generated. See, saying get parameter name. So this is a JSP forward. Same like servlet, you had a forward, this is JSP forward. HTML static page. We call it static because we show them the content, just like a TV program. Can you modify the content sitting on your couch? Nothing you can do. Just watch it, watch it, watch it. HTML is like that. Just watch it. That is why it's called static page. Dynamic content means the user will interact. Now the name came, right? It came from this second one. That is forward to .jsp. How it came the name? It came from the front end. Front end, you submitted it, it went to the back end processes it, dynamically generated the content. That is why it's called dynamic page. And when you are making this project itself, dynamic web project, that's the reason. It's interacting with the user. User can submit, decide, you can decide on that what the user has sent. You can decide what to show. Success, fail, you can decide programmatically. So dynamically you are sending different views to the browser. Make sense? Okay. So model view controller is actually a concept, and you should be careful in not writing everything together. Like you said, right? In the JSP you can write everything. You can write JDBC code. So Java, right? You can write the controller part, logic, what you write in servlet, and you can write HTML, of course. Now this not an MVC. You have destroyed the MVC architecture. Don't do that. Always view should only have view content. Like request or get parameter and display the hello name. That's okay. That's for view only, right? You're not processing anything. You're just getting it and displaying it. So simple Java things like, for example, this here item. That's okay. You're doing nothing much great here. Correct? And But if you want to process like this, a lot of processing is happening, then write it in a backend Java file only. You want database also, you can write it here. Okay. But there also you don't do it. If this is a controller, then database can put in another class. You'll make another class, make an object and keep it here. You will use that to fetch the data or set the data. Now this becomes MVC. This is actually partly MVC, it's not fully MVC. Data part is not there. Data is also here only. Processing also here only. So data is here. This, if you have put in a different file, or maybe in the database, you could have put this in database. We have put in database and fetch it from different object, and from there you get it. You can also always do that.